Welcome to Lesson 20 Workbook video for Hebrew 1 and 2, Bright Old Testament 502-504 online edition. Today we're going to be looking at the pu'al. This is a very simple stem. You'll notice it right away, and hopefully these exercises will solidify the very few times that the pu'al will actually occur in the Old Testament. But let's go ahead and dive in. I'm sure you know the drill by now, so let's go ahead and begin by parsing number 1. In typical Van Pelt fashion, all of the examples that are given in this lesson, with the exception of maybe one or two, are actually PLs and not pu'als. Just as we saw with the hifil and the hafal, the hifil is far more common, the PL is far more common than the pu'al. So number 1 here is a PL. Again, you can see the shva underneath the preformative telling us that this is either a PL or a pu'al, the dagesh and the kof. We also have the patak underneath the bait, which differentiates between the PL and the pu'al in the imperfect. Since we have the tav prefix and the yod suffix, this is a PL imperfect to FS. Let's move on to number 4. Number 4 is also a PL. We can see the mem with the shva underneath, indicating pu'al or PL. We have the patak under the dalet, telling us that this is PL, with the dagesh in the bait, confirming it. This is a PL participle masculine singular. What about number 7? Number 7 is a straightforward PL perfect, third masculine singular. What about number 10? Number 10 is also a PL. We have the shva underneath the yod, the patak underneath the gimel, and the dalet has the dagesh. This is a PL imperfect third masculine plural, since we have the yod prefix and the shuric suffix. What about number 13? Finally, in number 13, we have a pu'al participle, feminine singular. We have the mem, which tells us that this is a participle, the shva, that tells us it's either PL or pu'al, along with the dagesh in the tate. We also then have a kibbutz underneath the kof. This tells us that it is pu'al. If it was a patak, it would be PL, but this is pu'al, so we have the U class vowel. These next 3 exercises are all translation, so let's go ahead and begin by translating the first sentence here. The first sentence here begins with the direct object marker, followed by the direct object, hachalom, the dream. This is emphasizing the dream in the story of Joseph, followed by a PL perfect, standard form, seper, with the dagesh in the pei, the hirik under the samek, and the seirei under the pei. We then have a double preposition with a compound, to his father and to his mother. What about the second sentence? The second sentence here is very similar to the first in that it appears as though we start with a fronted direct object. Hachalom, though, is not a direct object, it is actually the subject of the verb yasufer. We realize that this is a pu'al, which gives it a passive idea, so the dream will be recounted. It's future because it's an imperfect, the yod with the shva. The kibbutz underneath the samek tells us that this is a pu'al. We then have the double preposition with the 2 indications of where it's being told, to his father and to his brothers. What about the third sentence? This final sentence actually begins with an imperative, bakshu. We know that we've dropped the preformative. That's why we have the patak underneath the bait. The preformative had the shva, and that is gone. This is a masculine plural. Bakshu, you, y'all need to seek. And then we have the 2 direct objects, his righteousness and his steadfast love. For this final set of exercises, we'll again be parsing, so let's go ahead and start with number 1. Number 1 is a straightforward pu'al perfect, 1 CS. The tav plus the hirik yod at the end gives away the 1 CS. The kibbutz underneath the mem tells us that it's a pu'al. What about number 4? Number 4 is a pual participle. The double mems at the beginning give it away. The one mem has the schwa, the other one has the kibbutz. And again, we have the dagesh in the lamed. The hirik yod mem at the end tells us it's masculine plural. What about number 7? Number 7 is a straightforward pual imperfect, second masculine plural, tav prefix, shurik suffix. We have the schwa underneath the tav prefix, followed by the kibbutz underneath the mem, dagesh in the lamed. Pual imperfect 2MP. What about number 10? Number 10 is a PL perfect. You'll notice there's no U-class vowel. We do have the seireh underneath the gimel because the resh has rejected the dagesh. We have the tav at the end indicating that it is 2MS. What about number 13? Number 13 is clearly a pual imperfect 2FS, tav prefix, yod suffix. We have the dagesh in the samik. The hey has dropped off. We have the U-class vowel underneath the kaf, the schwa underneath the tav. Pual imperfect 2FS. How about number 16? Number 16 is a pual imperfect. Again, we have the schwa underneath the yod, followed by the U-class vowel under the tzadeh. The dagesh is in the vav. That's not a shurik, that's a vav. So this is a pual imperfect 3MS. How about number 19? Number 19 is a cow passive participle, baruch. This is a very, very common word, be blessed. Oftentimes it shows up in Jewish prayers, Baruch Adonai, blessed be the Lord. This is a cow passive participle, masculine singular. How about number 22? Number 22 is a PL participle. We have the schwa underneath the mem, which tells us it's either a pual or PL. We have an A-class vowel under the bait. Usually that's a patak, but the resh has resisted the dagesh, so the bait has lengthened to compensate, so it becomes a kametz. PL participle, masculine singular from barak. And finally, number 25. Number 25 is a pual participle. You can see that this is a pual participle because the mem plus the schwa, that tells us that it's either PL or pual. We have the resh that normally takes the dagesh, but that has been resisted. So the U-class vowel that is normally under the bait has lengthened. Not lengthened all the way to a shurik, but it is lengthened to a holum. It went from a short U to a long O. This is why it's important to remember that O and U are technically part of the same vowel class. So the kibbutz here has become the holum. This is a pual participle masculine singular. Well, that brings us to the end of this particular lesson of workbook exercises. I will see you next time.